Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at our education masterclass that we're putting together. Now, remember, this is only a draft, but I do think we have a pretty good skeleton going here. What you will see in the opening screen is the title, purpose statement. I thought it was a great input from Tina that we have what grant is being fulfilled by this so that we can check that one off our list. Additionally, to get started, go ahead and view the video below and then go to the modules. So here we go. Now, we still have that same introduction slide here at the beginning. So if a student chooses to start in the modules rather than in the front screen, they'll still get the same information. Now, this is basically separated into about 8 weeks, and it's intended that the students will use anywhere from 2 to 4 hours a week to get this accomplished. So that's going to be kind of the area that I've gone with. Some weeks are going to be a little bit heavier than others, but in general, they're going to move right through. So actually, week 1 looks very heavy, but it's actually pretty light because there's a lot of boilerplate stuff here. So whereas it starts with a quick video introduction by me to the role of the adjunct within Richland Community College, then it's going to move through various examples.
Okay, so let's talk about your role within the college. Now, first things first, this is a community college. And much in the same way that we serve the community.
And so that's the idea. You have a basic opener, you have a little bit of history of the college, you have adjunct faculty job description, you're going to move on into the summative tools, you're going to look at the board policies. These are components that are actually already in the adjunct faculty Canvas course, and it's already given to them in a nice quick format. We're just walking them through the process. So that's how we're going to work with the initial employee component. Now, I also know that we're deciding when exactly do they become employees, and so that's why I've saved the mandated training all the way down here at the bottom and save colleges at the end. But that's something I'm going to need a little guidance from you guys on. Now, moving on from there, we have basic technology, and every single section has a your turn component. And that your turn component is some task or some series of tasks that the participant is going to do that's going to help lead them towards being ready to step into the classroom. In this case, we're just getting all this important information set up, having them set up their personal folders, employment information style, where they know where everything is and they can refer back to it as necessary. Then we get into the heart of the matter, and the heart of the matter, of course, is the 4 P's of teaching. You have presence, you have process, you have product, and you have performance. So presence, process, product, and performance. Those 4 P's are going to cover almost all of the areas of teaching that if I'm talking to a person who's an accountant, talking to a person who is a draftsperson, welder, etc. These are the 4 P's that are easy to remember that are going to cover their process as an educator. And so again, we start up with Education Masterclass and we go into presence. And so there's a video for that. It's only about, the videos are somewhere between 4 to the longest I believe is 12 minutes long, and that's a biggie. So it works out really nicely. And each of those videos is followed by a discussion series. So we have a live discussion because we're intending for these folks to go through this course together. Now, down the road, if we put this as an asynchronous component, we can use the discussion questions but change the format so that it doesn't have to be a give and take. But I really wanted as much give and take as possible. This is also something that could be, we could also be including the mentor teachers in this discussion if you feel that's a good idea. Additionally, again, a your turn component. So their first your turn component for presence is there to create a 3-minute introductory video. I go through a couple things that are required, a couple ideas, some things maybe to avoid, and then a reflection piece on that little 3-minute video of themselves, because I want them to begin a process of reflection through this, not so much a process of I'm going to be graded, but a mental process of do something, reflect, make adjustment, move on, and do again. So in this situation, we go through the rest of the 4 Ps in a similar situation. The other thing I want to do is right here in presence, I want to put diversity and maybe talk to Dr. Z about diversity and have the your turn focused on that component and put that diversity piece right up the head at the front end, because so many of our people that we're going to be bringing in from the professional world are going to maybe not understand the makeup of our student body. And we want to make sure that everything we're doing is based on relationship and respect. And with that, we have to start with diversity. So bringing that into organization. So process is broken up into organization, communication, and consistency. Underneath consistency, well, excuse me, let me go back. Under communication, I want to talk to Alex, bring student services in, bring Thrive in, because that process of constantly monitoring students, constantly encouraging, intervening in positive ways. Then under consistency, I'm putting the social emotional specific component here. Now, the social emotional is really, from the introductory video and all the way through, spread out throughout the entire content. But I really want to focus on this underneath consistency, because this component deals so much with routines and procedures in order to help alleviate anxiety. And to me, that's one of the areas where the social emotional component fits in super nicely. Finally, you get into the product. The product is content. That's a little bit of a misnomer, because immediately I say, no, the product is learning. And that's where we talk about creating content. We create learning. Then we talk maybe to Tina about master syllabus. We start talking about SLO. And so we put that component in there. Finally, we start talking about performance. What we traditionally think of as the teaching portion is the performance issue. But let's actually talk about it in terms of, well, what is good performance? Is good performance even necessary? What things qualify as good? Then we move into the online versus classroom component and talking about working with your space. And we spend a bunch of time talking about space, conversational style versus presentational style, quite a bit there. Now, the things that I haven't kind of worked in the puzzle or into the soup yet is I still need to do a little bit more on content delivery. I need heavier on assessment. And I'm going to need some other things that you suggest on some how-tos that they definitely need to do. And finally, we close with mandated training. I will explain why I kind of put this video together with you here, because we were having some Canvas issues with some of our graphics. So I wanted you to be able to see, what does this actual class look like? What should a participant expect to see when they get here? And give you an idea of what this is before we have our meeting, so you can come with some great ideas, some constructive criticism, and maybe even direct me off in different directions based on what you are asking and what you feel is important to show these participants and work with them with. So with that in mind, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you being willing to watch.